What's up everyone, Adam McKenzie here and welcome back to another Mindset Monday video. I've got one of my favorite tops on that always reminds me that every single day I need to kick my own butt. And tonight, what I want to talk to you about is your level of self-worth. But more than that, how to stop being your own worst enemy and put together a strategy to instantly transform your level of self-worth, right? Regardless of where it is right now. And there's a quote I heard somewhere along the line that in order to improve your level of self-worth, you need to be able to do something worthy, right? There needs to be a level of achievement, a level of significance in whatever it is that you are striving for, working towards, or doing that allows you to have almost like a defining moment for yourself. And don't think it's this big, huge, grand gesture. That defining moment might be you committing to getting up 5 days a week in the morning, right? It could be you deciding to stop eating white carbs for a while. It could be the way that you're speaking to yourself every day, stopping that and go, do you know what? That's not serving me. It's making me feel pretty crappy. Maybe I can go and do this, right? And for a lot of my clients, the biggest thing that they haven't ever achieved before they come into our program is that level of significance around their own belief in being able to achieve an end result. And hopefully that made sense to you. I'll break it down a little bit more. They've tried lots of different things. They've attempted lots of different things. Some things have worked a little bit and then they didn't work. Some things worked and then all the weight came back on and then they were looking for the next strategy and the next strategy and all of these different things. And I love my market because I get to solve this problem for so many people. But along this journey, through consistency, through making things very simple and easy to follow, they get to a point where they achieve this level of significance. They achieve something worthy of their own self-respect, of their own fulfillment in, hey, do you know what? Like I'm 6 weeks in, 5 weeks in, 12 weeks in, 6 months in, 2 years in, and look at what I've done. Look at what I am now doing on a day-to-day basis. So if you're sitting there now and you're like, man, I just don't have this good level of self-worth, or your level of self-talk is really low, that I guarantee you your self-worth is also really low. You don't want to invest in yourself. You're scared of trying new things in case you fail. You don't ever think that, what that person's achieved is possible for you, or that you're not worthy of spending that much money on because what happens if it doesn't work, right? And that's all connected to your level of self-worth. All right, and what I want you to realize is that you can call it a pit, you can call it a dark hole, you can call it a trap, all right? And what I see is that there's this cycle, all right, that every single person that I've worked with over the years at some point has been caught in the cycle, right? And the cycle is keeping them in, I would almost call victim, self-pity, self-hate, self-loathing, darkness. And when they're there, nothing's possible, everything's hard, they're not good enough, they don't deserve it, nothing works. It's all this type of conversation. And a lot of people don't understand, one, how they ended up there, but more importantly, what to do once they are there, right? They stay stuck and then they have this cycle, they sort of pull themselves out for a little bit, and then they come up with one of 4 emotions that I'm going to share with you in a second, and they end up right back in that, let's call it black hole, okay, for a bit of drama, okay? And the 4 emotions that tend to keep us in that space, all right, are anger, blaming, all right, guilt, and shaming. So regardless of what your trigger it is, maybe someone said something to you, maybe you tried an outfit on you didn't like, maybe your kid did something, maybe you promised yourself you were going to go to the gym 4 times this week and you got there once, maybe you promised yourself you were going to eat better but suddenly you've had takeaway 5 days this week. All right, whatever the trigger was, you've got to understand that you're going to go through that emotional cycle. There's going to be anger at yourself or at your partner or at your kids or at your boss or whoever you want to be angry against, whoever triggered you or whatever triggered you. Then there's going to be blame around that. It was their fault or it was my fault, right? And then there's going to be guilt. I shouldn't be that harsh on myself. I shouldn't be that harsh on them. I shouldn't blame them. It's all me. And then there's going to be shame. I can't believe I'm here again. I can't believe I didn't do it again. I can't believe I promised myself and I wasn't going to do it. I can't believe that I've tried all of these different things. My partner supported me and yet I'm here and I'm carrying more weight than I've ever carried before. I feel even worse about myself than I ever felt before. The shame. Okay, and you've got to understand that once you can identify that those four emotions are keeping you in this dark, unhappy, low level of self-worth and self-esteem place, all right, you can actually do something about it. And in order to break the cycle, I talked about this in a different framework a couple of weeks ago, you need to be able to change the story. The story that led you to the anger, to the blame, to the guilt, and to the shame is what's keeping you in this place. And what you got to understand is when you're in this dark space and you feel stuck and you feel trapped and you have all of these negative, nasty, horrible emotions and conversations and feelings and everything else that only keep you stuck even more, there's only one way out of that place: to move away, not just to duck your head up for a second and then go back into the same cycle, which is, it's heartbreaking, but it's what I see every single day, right? And in order to change that for yourself forever, I want you to do yourself a favor. I want you to have a look at what is the story that is connected to those emotions that is keeping you in that dark place, regardless of the trigger. And when I say regardless of the trigger, you have to understand that there's this underlying story. There's this underlying conversation, mindset, belief system that you're holding on to right now that is dictating the story. And for a lot of my clients, it often comes back to self-worth. It comes back to they don't think they're good enough. It comes back to they've never been successful, so they don't know what it feels like, so they mustn't be somebody who can be successful. They're not worthy of success, right? All of these different things. Maybe you grew up with a parent, or maybe you've got a narcissistic partner who's constantly putting you down. Whatever it might be, there's something that's dictating that underlying story. And it's keeping you in this cycle. The trigger happens and you go back through the four emotions, you end up back in the darkness. Then you put your head back up again and you get this false sense of, I'm out now, I'm good, I'm feeling better. And then bang, trigger happens, all four emotions, bang, I'm back in there again. And it's keeping you, it's holding you back more than anything. It's holding you back from your ability to build your self-worth. It's holding you back from your ability to transform the person that you think you are. And it all starts by changing the story. And if you're not sure what the story is, there's an exercise that I want to empower you with. I want you to write a letter to yourself, okay? Based on whatever has upset you or whatever has gone on or whatever is surrounding the anger, the blame, the guilt, and the shame. Write a letter to yourself, right? Telling yourself what you need to do in order to change the story. And during that letter, I want you to identify what that current story is. What is that thing that just pops up, it comes back in, it's in your head, it's floating around. And every time you get a bit of success, it pulls you back in. Every time you feel a little bit better, it drags you back down. Every time you get a little bit of enthusiasm, it slowly gets underpinned by procrastination, right? If you can do that, you're going to empower yourself with the ability to change the story. You're going to empower yourself with the ability to not be triggered by those same things, to not go through that same emotional cycle, to end up in this dark, unhappy, low level of self-worth place that nobody should ever belong to for too long. And if you're willing to do the work, okay, you get to have the reward. But it's like I tell most of my clients, that this is the best tool that's going to drive any level of success. Food and eating and discipline and all that stuff, that's great, but that's not the driver. That's the outcome. That's the habit. That's the do. If you're not even willing to do the do, then you don't deserve to have success. But if you don't have this sharp and you don't develop it and you don't put the time and energy into it, then how long are you going to do the do for? And what happens when you get to a certain level of progress and you need to change the do, and you need to step your game up, and you need to optimize it, and you need to refine it, and you need to adjust and measure what you're doing in order to achieve more progress. This is what's going to drive that. This is what's going to keep you in the game long enough to achieve incredible results, life-changing transformations. Becoming a completely different person, not even recognizing the person that used to be triggered by all of those things, go through those four emotions on a daily basis, to be sitting in that sad, sorry darkness by yourself, feeling like you're not worthy. And I know that sounded like a huge doom and gloom, right, subject, but it's something that it literally breaks my heart on a day-to-day basis, seeing so many, especially so many women, living in this suffering when they don't need to be, living in this place that is uncomfortable, it's unhappy, it's painful, because they feel like there's no way out, or they're not sure how to get out from it, or they don't feel worthy of getting out of it. And again, it all starts by putting in the work. Change the story, right? What does this person need to do right now in order to change that story? Write that letter to yourself. Take the time to identify what your story is right now. Realize and go through those emotions. What happens around anger? What do you say to yourself? What do you say to others? What happens around blame? What are the type of conversations? Oh, if you keep telling me to go to the gym, I'm not going to want to go at all, right? That's a blame story. Or, you know, so-and-so is on this, so I better stay home just in case the kids might want to go, and I don't have time. Another blame story. You're blaming the kids, right? What is the guilt? Is the guilt around you letting yourself down? Is the guilt around you letting your family down? Is the guilt around you realizing that you're not even being the best version of you can be for your husband, for your kids, and for yourself, right? And then there's the shame. I'm a failure. I'm not good enough. I can't do this. I'm not worthy. What if everybody else sees me fail? What if I tell everybody I'm going to do something else and then I don't make it work again? And you live in this cycle. Right? And all I want to do is highlight some of that for you so that maybe there's a greater level of awareness. Because with awareness comes choice. With choice comes change. With change comes a new you. And that's what I'm more excited about than anything else, is your potential to create the best version of yourself. It's what I love to do every single day. And if this video or this framework, or you starting to think about things, or even identify what that story is powerful. And being able to change that and then work on changing that every single time you get triggered, every single time you get pulled back into that dark space, look at the story. Okay, because I guarantee you it's the story that has led you to get triggered, that has led you to go through those emotions, and that is keeping you stuck. All right, if there is anything I can do to help, as always, reach out to me, send me a personal message. I mean, shit, in the last 2 weeks alone, we have had some of the most insane transformations I've probably seen for 3 or 4 years. All right, all because people who had no idea what to do, trying all of these different solutions, trying all of these different things, they finally got a simple framework. They finally got something that is based on how the body actually works, not on the latest marketing fad. And it's easy to stick to. They're seeing incredible results for the first time of their life.